So when we were doing the interviews, just a small background. Um, when you're asked why you wanted to join Cyber Shuja or what is your career goal and how do we align to those goals? Most of the time, the answers would be either you want to start your career in cybersecurity, or you want to advance the knowledge that you have, or also you want to transition, let's say, from data analyst to cybersecurity. So all in all, you wanted, I believe we all wanted to launch a career in cybersecurity. So for our first session, we'll be talking about launching your career in cybersecurity, giving you a feel of what the industry entails. Hopefully you can have the chance to go ahead even after the session and look into the different aspects and careers that will be talked about. Hopefully, you can also get your own path. The thing with this field is you find your own path. It's not a one size fit all kind of thing. So, without saying much more, I'll go ahead and welcome our speaker today. So, our speaker is Angelica. Angelica is a risk consultant at Seviano. She has had some experience with risk, and I think we have a lot we can learn from her. So I'll just give the floor to Angelica. She can go ahead and say more about herself and then take us through what she has for us. So Angelica, welcome.
Thank you, Hope. Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
First, I was not aware that you guys are this many, so I'm kind of shy. Anyway, I'm Angelica and I'll be taking you through the session today. Let me share my screen. Then we'll start right off.
Oh, so normally, as Angelica goes to share her screen, normally we let the speaker like start off, and then you have a question session like the last around 5 to 10 minutes of the meeting. You can ask the questions. We can also look to engage further with the mentor who's on board after the session. So yeah. Yes, Bradley, your hand is up. Okay.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Oh, thank
Yes,
you.
you can.
Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
So as I said, I'm Angelica Kimani, and today I'll be taking you through launching your cybersecurity career. So the first, okay, so to the introduction, now with how things are currently, so cybersecurity is becoming more and more crucial, and since we are kind of behind, like Kenya, this is the time we are starting to feel the presence of cybersecurity and people actually embracing cybersecurity and the need for cybersecurity. So over this conversation, you're going to explore the essential steps and strategies to help you kickstart your cybersecurity journey and thrive in this dynamic. I'm not sure it's a challenging profession, but it's very dynamic actually. So let's start with definition of terms, and this will be a bit more interactive. So there is launching your career in cybersecurity and starting a career in cybersecurity. Do you think they are the same or similar? Anyone? Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes, you can. You can just, yes, Valerie, go ahead.
Yes, we can hear you.
So do you think launching okay, continue. Sorry.
Thank you. I think, okay, from my point of view,
Mm-hmm.
I think starting for me will be maybe starting to learn more about the cybersecurity. Like
Okay.
it's the first things, like for example, right now, what Cybershuja is offering us, it's a starting, and then it's a start, and then now launching. I think launching is when you feel like you're ready with the product. So when you feel like you are good with cybersecurity, and then now you officially begin uh, to work or deploy what you've learned.
Okay, I like that. Someone else, thank you for that.
Asham?
So hi, I would say that starting a career in cybersecurity would be something like starting to learn about cybersecurity, about its components and things like that. Whereas launching your career in cybersecurity would be establishing yourself and starting a job, maybe.
Okay, okay, the last person.
Dennis?
Thank you. So my thinking is starting is really trying to begin by understanding the career in terms of acquiring skills, like actually doing the certifications and all that. And launching is now actually placing yourself in the field such that you can actually continually improve.
Okay,
Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
thank you. Just a side note, hope you'll tell me anyone who is raising their hand or anything. You'll coordinate that side.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the responses. I am happy that none of you thought those things are the same, ideally, but also it's a point of perspective. Now, when I was looking at the topic for launching your career in cybersecurity, I did not think it's the same as starting a career in cybersecurity, but I am going to explore the two avenues of the conversation. So, for one part of this, we'll be looking at starting a career in cybersecurity so that we can all understand what it means to launch your career in cybersecurity. Yeah. So, some of the key differences between the two are how things are done. For launching, it's more of a strategic thing. For starting, it's more of learning what is in the field. For instance, when now that you people are starting in Cybershuja, understand there are different avenues that you're following. There's some that are taking the cloud path, there's some that are taking the security SOC analyst path. But all these things, there are also other paths in cybersecurity. So ideally, you're all in the starting phase, or that's what, well, not everyone actually. So by the end, you should be able to know where you are and where you're headed. But when you're starting, it's more gradual, it's more of explanatory things. You want now to find the practicability of things that you've read, like in Cybershuja, because despite being that we try to bring the practical aspect as much, it's not the same as going to the industry and trying these things, and then sometimes they fail or they don't. So that is starting your career in cybersecurity. Launching is more strategic. One of the people who was answering said, when now you have the skills, you go out there and then you find a job. So it will have all those things, but it's deeper than that. Launching is to a point that you understand in this field, this is where I want to go. You've explored all the alternatives, and you feel that at this point this is what works for me, and then now you decide I am going to proactively take this path as my career path, but I'm going to explain as we move more. Okay, so the basic steps for starting a cybersecurity career um, are the that you can see the diagram there, understanding the basics, education, practical, gaining practical experience, develop technical skills, stay updated, networking, apply for jobs, and continuous learning. So for me, I take these four as the most important: education, skill acquisition, gaining experience, and networking. So we'll explore the categories. For education, it may involve either the university degrees or the certification or some beginner things. Maybe you went and watched a video or a movie, and then now you started looking for those free courses online. Then now you get the education bit of cybersecurity. Excuse me, you start getting the gist of what cybersecurity is about and the different things in cybersecurity. These are important to get your foot in the door. Not that everything is going that won't work out if you don't have the education. It's just that you understand things better when you have it. And it's not a must that you start with degrees. It can be the online courses, like ALX is really renowned for having really nice courses and some certifications, even like IC squared, things like that, which actually most are free and accessible. Then the other one is skill acquisition. This is hands-on skills that are crucial in cybersecurity. And these are the things that actually show you understand whatever you're studying. And I think Cybersecurity is very practical, which gives you part of that skills acquisition. So part of how to develop them is taking practical courses. I have highlighted some of the platforms like Cyber Talent and Cybrary, Code Academy for people who are into coding. Then you can also set up a home lab, maybe have a Kali machine set up somewhere, try to do different things with different tools. And in time, you'll start to get a gist of how those tools work. The other one is participate in competitions, especially capture the flag competitions. Try have an account on Hack the Box and try Hack Me and try different challenges. And this will be great for honing your skills. Of course, at the start, it's really difficult because you still don't understand what you're supposed to be looking for or what is there. So you rely on the written things like the write-ups. But it's a good place to get your skills on. Then the other one is experience. For experience, you look for internships, you look for entry level jobs, you volunteer anywhere. Oh, excuse me.
Sorry about that.
Oh,
We muted her. Yeah.
okay. So you look for avenues that you can practice some things that you're learning, even if it's just creating a site for someone or trying to hack someone's site or trying to identify issue with code, things like that, where you can put the skills that you're getting into practice. So there are all those things. Then we have networking. Networking is good because it teaches you what people are doing out there and also opens you to the different um, the different things that people are doing. Cybersecurity is very broad, and sometimes you may just be knowing things that happen within your company or that happen here, and then you attend these events and you see guys innovating, you see them coming up with new ideas to do things. You meet with people who are really good at identifying zero-day issues. Then you get a gist of where the industry is headed, what is hot in the industry at that time, and you also get to meet interesting people who you may join for some of now for those competitions, and also they may open opportunities for you. It's really a good space to learn. Also, professional organizations, people like ISC Squared provide certifications for certified in cybersecurity for free, which will really come through when you're applying for a job or otherwise, also for knowledge. And these are known certifications that are recognized globally. So it's definitely good on your CV. Then join cybersecurity communities, SheHacks, Africa Hackcoin, Google developers, whatever it is, so that you have a platform where you're exchanging ideas with people. So for me, these are the important things when you're starting your career in cybersecurity, because you want to know as much as possible about cybersecurity, meet new people, and know what happens. Yeah, just be in the loop. Now, that is when you're starting. If according to the things that I have said, the gist of it is that all these things are very general. You're attending all these things to learn more about the organization. You're picking the the education, the certifications. You're taking anything that is available actually, because some are free, some are opportunities that find you. So you're trying to do as much as possible with what you have and what is working for you at that time. At that point, you're starting your cybersecurity career. You're trying to understand the field, you're trying to understand what is happening, and then now you're you're acquiring knowledge and skills. Now there's launching a cybersecurity career. So at if we look at it from that point to launching, it's more like when you're starting, you just you're picking on everything. You really don't have you don't have a bias. It's this certification is free. It's a really known company. I see the content is good. I do it. I put it in my CV. Then you continue the same. But now for launching is more intentional. You want to understand that now I already started my career. I have already started. I have been working in the industry. What where am I headed with this career? Where am I headed with everything that I am doing? And now that's when the launching of a cybersecurity comes. You've already gotten the gist of what is happening in the industry. Now you really want to go down to specifics. So the first thing is basics. You have to understand the baseline skills and foundations of cybersecurity. Like anything else, let's use the analogy of biology. Whether someone is a doctor, whether someone is a pharmacist, anyone who's working with anything to do with biology, they must know things to do with biology, despite whether it's entomology, whether you're working with birds or anything, all of them will know the same things about with the common denominator being biology. So it's the same thing that happens in cybersecurity. It's very broad and the roles will be different, but the concepts and principles and foundations are the same. So the first thing is to really understand what the basics are about. And for that, I like to refer to the hierarchy of competence. So you can see the diagram on my, oh God, on my right, sorry. So we start with the at the bottom of the pyramid, that is unconscious incompetence. So here is where you know nothing, and even not even how much we don't know. Even the nothing that you don't know, you don't actually know how much you don't know it. So for me, I'd say that is kind of where we are when we are very green, when we are still, trying to know what cybersecurity is about, or you just watched a show and you saw someone hacking and you're like, I like that, or so you attended a hackathon and then you saw someone do something and you're like, I like that, but you have no idea how big and broad this thing is at that moment. So we know nothing, and even how much we don't know. So at that time, we are at unconscious incompetence. Then the second stage is where we have learned just enough to realize how much we don't know. Now, for me, this is where I place someone who's starting a cybersecurity career, that you've been picking different things, different courses, you've interacted with people, you've networked, you've attended events, so many to know that every time that you go back, you're like, wow, I thought I know Nmap, but there are so many tools out there. They can do very many different things than what I thought they can do. So at this point, you're incompetent, but you're conscious about it. Then for the that stage, we have gained enough knowledge to be able to create something that works, but it's a bit messy. Now um, this is where I think you are supposed to be when you're planning to launch your cybersecurity career. That now you have the workings of different things, you understand your basics. Now you can link things together. You, even if you're given a complex problem, you can be able to disintegrate these things and understand that this is where this is falling into in terms of the core foundations. But you really can't do much with whatever you have right now. It's everywhere. It's a little bit of coding, it's a little bit of DevSecOps, it's a little bit of SOC analysis. Kidogo kidogo, you have something to do with cloud, but they're all there. You really, if someone was to ask you, so what is the title for your CV? It's just, you just say cybersecurity, since everything is kind of jumbled in there. But at that point, it's working. You can do all those things to a certain extent. So the final stage is the stage of learning, which is the mastery of a skill. Now, when we launch a cybersecurity career, in my opinion, this is what we want to attain: unconscious competence. That you reach to a point that whatever you've chosen to master in, you know it so well that now whatever remains is innovating in that career. Now, like giving back, trying to find new ways to do things, but the things that are supposed to be done are now muscle memory. You can easily do them. It won't take much time to do them. Now it's giving back and trying to find alternative ways to do those things, or trying to make them less complex, try to develop tools for those people. So the first thing when you're launching your career, you really have to know the basics and understand where you are in terms of this chart. And understanding, even in terms of how you know, it's also what is out there. So that brings us to the second step, which is research. So you have to understand the various career options. So for the first one, we were trying to know where we are about what we know. And that can also include what, okay, how many career options are you aware of in cybersecurity? Here I've listed a few. So we have red teamers, penetration testers, SOC analysts, threat intelligence analysts. We have governance, risk and compliance analysts, risk consultants, DevSecOps engineers, information stroke network security architect, enterprise security architect, forensic computer forensics investigator. For all this, I made sure that I have integrated the different things. So if you look at the GRC analyst, that is totally in process. If you look at forensics analysts and computer forensics, those are forensics people. We have the SecOps, we have the coding people, we have guys who are purely red teamers, and then now we have the blue teamers. But there are many more. Like there's so many roles in cybersecurity. There are blue teamers, there are those who are purple teamers. All these things you have to understand the different options, or at least research about the different options in the career. And now this is that point of we actually don't know how much we don't know. So there are also developers in cybersecurity who are not DevSecOps, but they actually develop security tools. That is also part of development, but it's not, well, software development in cybersecurity. So once when you're researching this, you want to interact with as many different paths as possible. The thing is, when you're starting out now, when we were starting the career, you started with one thing. Maybe you started with cyber shuja and you went for the SOC thing, but your curiosity should lead you to know that if there are all these roles, at least interact with as many as you can as they're coming to your path. Whether it's the same job but guys are doing these roles, try to find out what they do, because that's the only way you'll be able to really understand what it is that you want to do for your cybersecurity career. Okay. Then the third one will be now to understand, to identify an area that resonates with you. Now, when you interact with all these things, you tend to see things that, let me just use this for a while, you tend to see things that sort of merge together. So if someone is a SOC analyst and the threat analyst, and you really feel like those things resonate to you, definitely you're saying that you're comfortable being a blue teamer, people who defend. And then if you're comfortable with pen testing or those things interest you, then it seems you like to, what is to hack the things um, rather than defend them. So find an area that resonates with you and be as general as possible. Just the way that I said it. I like breaking into things. The more I do it, and now this is an informed decision. Remember, you have interacted with the different roles. You clearly, it's not just saying I saw someone hacking and then now I like hacking. You have actually done that role or done projects on that role, and you're like, this feels right for me. Like I enjoyed doing this, and it's not once, it's over time. You enjoyed the research, you enjoyed everything about it. So now you can actually say that I prefer red teaming to blue teaming. I like to be the people attacking. I don't like to be the one defending. Or I like being both. Who now that will be a purple teamer. Or now you can be, you enjoy coding, but you really don't want to code. So you have no issue looking at the code. That would be DevSecOps, as opposed to a person who, I don't want to look at the code, I'm really passionate about coding. That one would go with coding. So be as general as possible. Just identify what is resonating with you, what feels right for you when you're doing it after you have interacted with those different roles over the whole broad cybersecurity thing. Then in that area, study, of course, and learn what is important for those people, like the components. So if we were to look at this step, you're basically just sort of learning I would say we're in the second box. So we are consciously incompetent because we're just picking everything for all these roles, like little things. And then now I say, I think I like this. So now you go back to the basics where now you start studying for what you like. What is it that you need to learn? What are some of the things that have changed in the industry over time? If we were to use the example of guys who code, or so we are moving from places where the applications were monolithic. Now we are moving to applications which are really integrated by APIs. That's part of the history. And you need to understand, when you understand the basics, you'll understand how the history is moving to understand what parts are changing, since the foundations always remain the same. So you get back to basics, foundation, and principles. And then now identify where you are in that ladder, the competence ladder that you've just looked at this way. Then I'll start working on that in the area that you want. So if you want blue team, that would be ideally, you're saying, I want to be a defender. That would be forensics, would be SOC analyst, would be actually, it would also be GRC. You want to be auditing people on how well they're defending their things or that. So you go back to those things and start saying that in terms of SOC, this is where I am. In terms of what I know about blue teaming, I don't think I know enough. I have never done anything to do with forensics. I think I need to look into that. I need to look into how SOC analyst merges with forensics, because they're all blue teamers. How does this merge with the other one? How do I use my knowledge of all the other things that I tried to understand this better? Okay. Then the fourth step is pivot from one area to another. So all these things you're doing when you're still employed, right? So whether it's an entry level job, or actually you didn't even get, say, an IT thing or a cybersecurity related, but you know people who are doing it, try to pivot from one job to another. Pivoting means you learn to use your work environment to go to where you want to be. Okay. So if you're hired for a SOC analyst and you've been doing some of the hacking projects and you realize that that resonates with you, ideally, you want to start collaborating in more of those projects as opposed to these projects. The other way that you'd look at it is that now you being in the SOC, you'd ask yourself, if you are a hacker, how would you evade the things that you're looking for? If you're trying to look at the time, how do you think as a hacker you would evade these things? That way you start getting skills that are linking you towards where you want to go as opposed to where you are, but you're also using where you are to learn where you want to go. Then the other one is leverage your professional interactions. So you may, of course, in the course of networking and meeting people, now you'll be knowing people who are in roles that you want. You know that you want to be a red teamer, but currently you're not in the red teaming department. Talk to those people who are there and identify what it is that they do, so that you can also be able to place yourself better for the next opening by understanding what it is that employers are looking for. That way you can create your CV to a point when the opportunity comes, you'll be ready to take that role. The next one is apply for jobs that are within your career trajectory. So at this point, we started with the basics, and then we did research. In a general way, we identified that I want to be a blue teamer. So now I start applying for jobs that are specifically in the blue teaming scope. So SOC analyst, threat intelligence, forensics, because Bado, we are trying to get a gist of which one specifically will it be, because now we are also too broad. So now you work in this subcategory and you may identify will be your career trajectory and see how it feels. Which of these roles really fits your whatever you're looking for. Now with that, you'll get an idea of areas, the specific area that you want to work in. You see, I really want to be a SOC analyst. I think through and through. I like setting up SIM. I like the fact that I go find people. I know how to set up rules. That really interests me. So you exploit as much as possible. So in this point, you are exploring in different companies and also different roles, because different companies, it can be the same role and you're going to share the same roles with people in a different company, but they execute the roles differently. There are some SOCs where you just do monitoring and maybe you do incident response. Some are you do monitoring and you do part of networking where you go and actually configure those things on a site and things like that. So the more you interact with them, the more you see the different angles of the things that you're interested in. Now, the last one I think was set an end goal for your career. So um, I'm not sure how many of you have been asked in an interview, where do you see yourself 5 years from now? In my opinion, after you've taken step 5, now you should be able to know this is what I want to do in the future. If you want to be a CISO, then you know, like clearly, I want to be a CISO. If you want to be a pen tester, that's it. You can definitely say that this is what I want to do. Now with that, now you go aggressive and set a timeline. So if I want to be a CISO, you've already interacted with all these things. Now you already have an idea. What is it that I need? Which certifications do I need to take? Which sort of jobs am I supposed to be taking from here on? And then now the last thing would be ask yourself how to best position yourself to be valuable to the marketplace. Remember, you're not the only person who wants to be a CISO, and there are people who are already CISOs. So what is going to make you stand out when you're becoming the CISO? What value are you bringing to the market that people will be able to pay you? How you want to get paid for whatever you're bringing, because now you're a new person coming to this. Now this is where the competitiveness comes, and this is where you have to have understood the basics visually. When I was starting, I said that when you meet to that point of mastery, now it comes to this part of innovation and finding more refined ways to help the that specific industry to refine some of the tasks better. Maybe you're creating a framework. Maybe you're going to redefine a procedure or a process. Maybe yours will be trying to make the country appreciate what data protection is or how to apply these things. All those things. Ask yourself how best you can position yourself now that you've set yourself for an end goal. You know that this is what I want to do. So now you start working on how am I going to be unique among people who are already doing that. Okay. So those are my steps for launching your cybersecurity career. You can add as many as you want. Then important takeaways were your cybersecurity career is really going to be a journey, not a destination, clearly, because things that you started when you started, even the programming languages that keep on changing and changing, the same as vulnerabilities and issues. The technology that we are using today, those things may be obsolete next year, so you have to relearn and keep learning over and over again. That also shows the importance of finding something that you like, that you won't be bothered to keep relearning. You'll actually be very motivated about it. Then stay curious. Of course, for the same reason, tech really moves fast. If you don't identify the things that are happening in the area that you'll be interested in, then you'll be left behind. I remember that place for understanding the industry history and stuff. Then be creative. So with
Yes.
it's not that the industry is not really saturated, but creativity comes with the whole thing that cybersecurity is enormous, and it's not a defined thing. With the ever-changing nature of the industry, it means the solutions of Jana won't work today. So it's up to each one of us to be very creative in how we are going to solve the problems, in how we are going to tackle situations. For instance, if you're feeling unsafe about the AI situation, how creative can you be to how we can secure it? So like that. The other one is develop a business language and soft skills as well as your technical skills, if not better. So as you start your career and as you launch your career, you'll realize that we are all looking for money, and companies also work for money. right? So it's all about, well, it's not always all about, not like that. It's just that money is a factor, right? And the only way that you can sell your technical skills is when you have the business language to actually go and explain to people why it is that they need your services. If they don't understand why they need your services, then they are not going to hire you or you're not going to get the job. So make sure that you develop a language to understand that how to position yourself to tell a client that this is why you need my services. That way, you'll be able to maneuver the industry better. Soft skills, the industry has, as any industry, you'll deal with clients a number of times, and you want to be in a position where you're not very techy and you also don't emasculate people. You can find that bridge in the middle. If you're able to find that, it will help you so much to be able to communicate your needs when not, well, still understanding where the client is saying, the client is always right, and now trying to show them where your ideas are coming in. Knowing how to maneuver that will really help you in your career. Then work with what works for you. Um, okay, so I don't think in any career things are set in stone. If you feel like this isn't working and this tool works better for you, then why not refine the tool for yourself? Whatever works for you, work with that. That's also what brings about innovation. Some don't like doing some work for this, and then they choose to create scripts that are going to make their work easier. That works for them. Maybe you're too methodical, you prefer to customize tools. That works for you. Someone else would prefer to go the long way. All of them are okay. Just find what works for you. That will always be more comfortable. Lastly, and most importantly, always be ethical. Um, this is more of a personal thing and a recommended thing. Just be very ethical in whatever you're doing. You don't want to create chaos, but even if you do, hopefully someone here is going to catch you. But always be ethical. Okay. The expert in anything was once a beginner. Remember that. So then, even if we are still in the unconscious incompetence, we're going to get there. Thank you. Any question? That was the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Angelica. That was really well done. We'll go ahead and pick questions. So I already see there's a couple of hands coming up. So I start with Raduk. Go ahead.
Evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, you can.
Yes, Dan.
So my question is in relation to networking. What kind of people should you be trying to make these professional connections with, especially?
What type of people? Well, I would say anyone and everyone. Mm, so one for professional networking, honestly, just anyone and everyone. You never know when they'll come through. Also, they're not in cybersecurity, but you'll need help understanding systems in different um, institutions. Say you know someone who works in a bank and you're trying to understand some of the things that happen in a bank, then you have someone who you know. But also just interact with anyone. You may all be starting and you feel like the connections are not important. And then moving forward, when you're stuck, you'll be more comfortable asking your friend, like, how did you get to do this or how do you do this? So, as many people as you're comfortable to, just interact. It never hurts to put yourself out there. Oh, that said, if you're not comfortable with, remember the part where what works for you. So if you're really not a networking face-to-face person, maybe you really want to interact with people through CTFs. The guys who invite people to join different groups and then you just know them by pseudonym, you just meet to play games. And that is also part of networking.
Okay. Raduk, that's right. So Daniel, you can go ahead.
Thank you, thank you. First, thank you, Angelica. Really love the presentation. I just wanted to ask, maybe from your perspective from Inseriano, if you look at um, a broad like based like organizational governance structure, like you mentioned a couple of roles. Would you help us like break that down a little bit? Like if you have some perspective of it today, the roles, if like a lot of opportunity in SOC or there's a lot of opportunity, and if you could just help us get a sort of a picture of the of that like organizational structure. If the CISO is at the top, like how does it break down? Because I'm pretty new in this area. Then the second question I had was more towards you, more on your daily, like, would you just run us through what does your day look like from morning to evening? Like, what do you do as a risk analyst, like from step by step, and then it'll just help us get an appreciation of it. Thank you.
Okay. So let me start with the Serianu and then I'll come back to me. So for Serianu, we're a cybersecurity company. We have various departments. We have the SOC, who are in charge of incident analysis and incident responding. Then we have research and development, who now we have the DevSecOps, we have the innovators, and we also have guys who do automation with regards now to cybersecurity. Like we want to automate some of the activities that we do, they're in charge of automation. We want to develop tools that we have identified that clients do not have, those are developers. Then there's someone who is kind of quality assurance for the kind of products that are coming. So that is DevSecOps. Then we have then we have the risk department. The risk department, yeah, no, that's my department. We deal with penetration testing and audit. Then we have infrastructure, who deal with now going to, how do I put this? Deploying systems, troubleshooting, all those things for networking, helping a client map which type of tool they require, stuff like that. And we have, I feel like I'm forgetting. Oh, we have risk and compliance. Now they're in charge of creating policies and now making sure that we are compliant as a company. Now my day to day. So my day looks like, okay, so my working day would look like once we get a contract that requires the company to do vulnerability assessment and penetration testing, we are assigned to the project. When you're assigned to the project, you start by doing the technical bit of the project first by the external, the one that you first look at what we can see without going to the site. So what is available online, then you go on site, you do the penetration testing, then you do a report and go and present it to the board. You remember that part for business skills and soft skills? You're also the one who will go and present it as the risk consultant. Then part of the presentation is recommending the client okay, you found this problem, what should they do about it? If it's a tool, which type of tool do you think they need? If it's a tool that is not maximized, how do you think that they should do this? Or what sort of tool do you think that they should have that can bridge this? If they have tools but they still have gaps, what is the arrangement that can be done that will help them maximize their tools and also keep them secure? Then now the other part is the audit part, where you look at the processes of the company with regards to cybersecurity, and then now you tell them how they're doing. So when I say the process with regards to cybersecurity will be things like, so right now we know that data protection is a really big thing, right? So you'd look at how they transfer their data and how they store their data and try to see how secure that is. Like, is it easy to decrypt whatever is encrypted? Is it really, are they using protected protocols to help that travel? And then you do the same thing as the technical report. You write a report, you write recommendations, you show them where to refer to. So in terms of policies and sites that may help them. And then now, yeah, after that, now you just wait for when they come back and tell you that this is why we do this. Do you have a better way to do this? Now you just consult them with whatever happens afterwards. So that's my day to day. I don't know if that has helped, but I hope you have, there's a documentation that has the roles defined better. my partner, my colleague did it. So I think you'll interact with it as you move. But I hope I answered your question.
Oh, yeah, yes, you did. Thank you. But maybe if you could find a way to get us that document, maybe through our instructors would really profit from that. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Okay. So I will forward the document once Angelica shares that. Then Jackson, you can go ahead.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
Hope you can hear me. Yeah. I had a small question. Uh, some times back, I had a passion of becoming uh, uh, ethical hacker, but mostly deal with there is hackers who deal with scams, like who fight scams. They are called. I don't remember the name well. And yeah, so I just wondered. I've, I've been trying to find whether there are tools and which control such hackers, because they are more of private and they don't like mostly they deal with sensitive issues of scammers and victims. And yeah, I've been trying to look whether there are anything which governs them, and yeah, any information you know about it can help. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Could you repeat the part of what they did? I had the part where ethical hackers did something. I didn't really get what they did.
Okay, let me repeat.
Okay.
Like I've been having interest to become this type of hackers. I don't remember their name. Who fight scams? Yeah, there are some people in YouTube like Pirogi. I don't know whether you know this guys who fight scams in India. You know who like fight scammers. Yeah, I've been having this interest thing to become like such people, but I've not find any information more about them, how they operate and which rules they follow, because mostly they deal with sensitive issues, you know. Yeah, I just
Okay.
trying to see whether I can get information from you.
Okay. First,
Yeah.
okay. Thank you for your question. Let me see. So there are two ways to look at it. You said that they fight scammers. So I am not really sure if these are ethical hackers or they are the hacktivists. Hacktivists are people who hack for well for uh, for reasons, for different reasons. Like they want to say they want to combat a government because they feel like the government is oppressing the poor, so they hack the government. And for your case, I really hope that's not it. But then again, then the other route is if someone is fighting scammers, then ideally they would have knowledge of forensics and ethical hacking. Forensics because actually ethical hacking and forensics, because for forensics you really have to know where it is that you will find the data that you want. So if you really want to prove that someone is the scammer, you have to be able to show that this is their machine and I was able to find this, or this is their machine and you can see that the money moved from here to this point. So that is an aspect of forensics. Then we have the part where it's ethical hacking. It can be that it's just a hacker who sits down and traces the IP addresses and tries as much as possible to follow this person through their online presence. Then they're able to identify a pseudonym. Then now in still that process of hacking, they're able to identify the face behind that pseudonym. So I would go with ethical hacking and forensics.
I
Does
can
that answer?
also,
Okay.
yeah, so I think I can also add to that. I'm also thinking of, I don't know why the conversation made me think of fraud, and we have
Oh, yeah.
fraud analysts.
Yeah.
So that could also be a career trajectory where you go into fraud analysis, and you can even become a certified fraud examiner. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
Okay. Welcome. So Peter, go ahead.
So my main question was supposed to be on portfolio, even though you haven't really touched on it, but like, say someone like you said some part of your day is like pen testing them, you create the reports. So for software engineers, they have GitHub where they post, they have the repositories for their code. And how do you display your skills as you learn in okay, let's say you are field particularly, maybe or maybe in general. Yeah.
Okay. So personally, I think I keep an inventory of the skills that I'm learning per project, saying that it's just like an Excel or something, but mostly to update your CV. Some also have that. Some have what do you call? Some have the GitHub repositories, because if you're a pen tester and you really like scripting, that means you've actually written like various things. So there's that. But most just we just keep an inventory, and then in the CV you just outline like the different roles that you've been doing throughout, and it sort of works out. I'm sorry I can't answer that question extensively, but the portfolio would be so. Um, Except from the skills, if you get certifications, you definitely like mark them in your CV that you did the certifications. And
So can I like add on to that question, build on it?
okay.
So like when a hiring manager sees your CV without like a portfolio, say I'm putting my stuff on Excel, then I put it in my CV, will he just hire on good faith that you have these certifications? Okay, the certifications you can prove with the paper, but
Mm-hmm.
the projects you have undertaken, you can't really um, say, okay, without proof, like you can say, I've done this, but like
Mm-hmm.
without having concrete like evidence that you have done it, or like reports, how you did it. Yeah.
Okay. Ah, yeah. Okay. Thank you. No, that's more clear. Now, for that situation first, it's very hard to say that. Okay, let me just like move back. First, you need to know that the industry is really small, meaning that you move from one organization to the next, and even if they're big, like they communicate. So what happens is you won't really have a portfolio that says more, because these are skills per se. So actually, you'll take the Excel in the CV. You're just going to list that these are the skills that I have. And then that will be accompanied from, they can actually see your current job title is 1, 2, 3. Now, after that, I'm thinking that you have a referee from the organization that you're at, or even if you don't have, they will ask specific questions according to the things that you've said you've done. So if you say that you're part of this report, or you say that there is this report, there are standardized way that cybersecurity reports look like. So there's no way you would miss everything in that report. The other thing is for some jobs, okay, so for most, especially when you're dealing with client things, so let's take a SOC analyst. It's very easy to say that you have skills dealing with the SIM tool, which is 40 SIM, because you know that the organization where you at, they're using 40 SIM. So that is something that they can call and actually confirm. And actually, most industries just know, like Siriani na kwanga na hii. Now, the problem is when it comes to something like my role, when you're dealing with clients and it's different clients, I can't go disclosing that I worked with so and so, but it can show that you did several projects involving 1, 2, 3. So I see where you place it as a disadvantage, but then again, they will go out when they ask you, you'll be able to answer the question. And if they doubt, they just call the previous company and confirm if you actually did these things. So maybe we need to find a way to actually put that in the CV. Thank you. I'll think about that question. But that's the best I can answer right now.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So we can have Stacy, then lastly Mordecai. If you go ahead.
Thank you for the presentation. It was very informative. But my question was, what are the certifications that you would recommend to do? Yeah.
Honestly, certifications are expensive. So if you have the chance to do any certification, me, I would say go for it. When we do interviews and say you've never been employed in a cybersecurity company, the next question would be what actually shows that you have interest in cybersecurity, and it may be just those those certifications. We do understand that certifications are actually expensive, but when you're starting, the general are not bad. Like for ISC squared certified in cybersecurity, that's nice. If you choose to do TCM, that's also nice. Then later on you choose to do CH, that's nice. And the good thing is, okay, so when you're doing certifications, my advice is know when to really leverage your certifications, because certifications do expire. Like most, even CH like expires after time. So if, for instance, you do it when you're in campus and then you don't find a job in the next 3 years, you really didn't maximize that, and you still have to pay for it again to renew the certification. So if you start with the free ones that actually do not expire, I don't know how to put it. It shows your interest, and it also doesn't familiar you, and you'll also see the interest. According to the choice, it wholly depends on what you want to learn. There's so many certifications, there's so many free resources, depends on what you're finding interesting. But I'd say go all out on those that are genuinely and freely available. For now, one of the important things to actually have in your bag is the data protection knowledge and even a certification around it. So that's a plus for you. Or that's the other thing, you have to learn what is I want to say kind of the it thing in the market to know which certifications to target when you want to go like that. But say you want to be, so for ethical hacking, basically CH is recommended. Then now there are those for specific things that you want to work on.
Joseph, is that fine? Okay. Mordecai, go ahead.
Audible enough. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm asking. I do hope I'm audible enough.
No, I can't hear you.
What about now?
Okay, just continue.
Okay, so I'd like to say I hope everyone's well, and thank you so much for the evening's presentation. Now, my first question is with regard to entry-level positions, especially in cybersecurity. So there's I would like to take this approach, but I would also should I kindly request for some level of honesty, because what I've noticed is for my case specifically, I don't necessarily have a background in say programming or these other things, because I initially did a cybersecurity course. But then when it comes to the application of jobs, especially when it comes to this entry level jobs, there's usually a screening for very specific certifications aside from the degree itself. Sometimes they want something like CH or CISM, and I think you've previously stated that yes, it is quite expensive. Now, my question comes in terms of how do we bridge the gap, and how can we also show proof of concept especially when it comes to demonstrating that someone is good enough for an entry-level job without necessarily having the certifications in place? And how do you find opportunities? Do you have to now start with a general, IT role? And when it comes to also these IT roles, because some of us don't have something like a CCNA. I didn't do CCNA, but I'm very competent enough when it comes to things like networking. I have read a bunch of certification books. So, for example, Security Plus, CH, I have read them. I still read them actually, but the thing is, I do. You see, they're like doing the certification itself is a bit tricky. So, how would you market yourself and say get interviews or even get an opportunity to get in these rooms to at least have a chance or a standard chance? Plus, I've also done a lot of these Cisco free certifications. I just recently did Cisco ethical hacking. I think it was also led by Cybersecurity by Dr. Paula. So how do I market these particular, like what I do have right now to my potential employer? Thank you.
Okay, that's a really nice question. And you've really done so many things. Okay, how to do that for an entry level job is to include your CV has to be different as compared to the others. So you should include and projects and maybe tools. So projects and tools, by that I mean instead of just saying that I have read this or I have done this, show your level of competency according to some of the tools that you've interacted with. So first, when you're applying for a job, you want to map your CV to the job, right? What what are they really looking for? Then according to that, you may be able to say they're looking for a SOC analyst. And of course, you've never interacted with a SIM, but you're very keen on some of the tools that guys, oh, like incident handling, and you've been doing say certifications on that. Now include it certification and then say of a project that you did, like maybe I created a system on this, or I did this challenge that had this, I have used this tool there. What that does is when that person, when they're doing the interview, it's going to coin your questions based on what you said, and the fact that you'll be able to answer them now shows them that you actually have an idea and you have an understanding of the tools, hence removing the whole bias and the fact that you didn't do the exam. The second thing is do not disqualify. You see, like for CCNA, they give you, and even Cisco, they give you still the same thing. They give you certificates even when you've not been certified, right? Like you finished stage one and then they put the certificate there. You finished stage two. Add those ones, the certifications. And then when they're like, okay, so why didn't you do the exam? Or you actually highlight it. I have never had the money to do it, so I didn't do the exam, but I've done this three and I excelled in this three. That way it creates more of an avenue. Also, at a point when you're feeling like that, take projects that have that. Projects may be this, so Try Hack Me or Hack the Box have very interesting things, CJ Easter Bunny Challenge or something. Put that thing there. They give you like some certificate when you finish. You successfully finished, I don't know, doing what. And that certificate shows what was involved in that challenge. We had this, we had this tool, we had things that had to do with this. That way you're sort of vouching for yourself that I have actually done it, and you can see that someone is attesting to the fact that I have done it. Okay. The other way is some of the entry level jobs actually there's some that give people challenges to do to do before they okay, before they accept the application. For those who will say just do it. Then the other thing would be when you're preparing for an interview, just leverage your CV to things that you know are going to help you. Honestly, if you don't highlight, okay, so like recently I did the Cybersecurity interviews, and guys are not highlighting things that you've done that will help you in that thing. If right now I was going to apply to say to a police thing, right? I wouldn't say story penetration testing or auditing because ideally that won't work there. But forensics would. If I have a psychology course, that would help me there. So you put details that help you for that role, right? The other thing would be kama hiyo ya CH, when it's the exam that you can't do or something, there's this that they show that you're actually a student. Like kama ISC squared, they have the thing where they tag you as a candidate for a whole year. That shows that you're actually doing it. It's, I would say it's the same thing as for ethical hacking. So you can say you're in progress, like you put CH in progress, the same way that you put education, and then you say that I'm currently still studying, like I'll graduate in time. Just put things when you other things that you're doing, there's CH, there's ALX. Now, when you asked about it, you just say that it's continuous because I've not been able to do the exam yet, but I am actually actively learning about it. I think that would help. I
Okay.
hope I answered your question.
Mordecai?
Yeah, thank you. And just one last thing. I also forgot to include now. Okay, so I did mention that like my background is not necessarily computer science, but
Yeah.
I did computer security and forensics as a course, but I there's a time where, and I still do it. I'm in MAN, so that's basically programming, the MongoDB, Express, JS, blah blah blah, Node and React. Though I did it freelancing, and now my issue that comes in is because I once talked with someone and they told me that sometimes you have to guarantee for because one of the things I was told is there shouldn't be a time gap or a time lapse when it comes to your resume. How do I tie that with education and some of the things that I've done? And in terms of, let's say, like applying for those specific roles, because sometimes it's very tricky. You know a bit of programming, or you're efficient at programming, but then the cybersecurity element that also comes into place, the job opportunities, but then you're deficient in certain things that they want, but then you also want to bring out the best of both worlds. So what would you recommend when it comes to such scenarios or cases?
First, I recommend you leverage whatever you've been doing in your favor. So you said that you've been programming. Just casually when they ask you what have you been doing, and then you say programming, and then you just go. And I think when you're doing a penetration testing, and then you're able to run this program, it would be easier for me to understand this. Like there's always a way that programming can get na cybersecurity, because all these systems are still created by that. So try to leverage the conversation to make it look like I know the role was not in cybersecurity, but I can find gaps better in cybersecurity because now I understand programming. I can like remove all these things and show you or explain where I think security is important for this component. Then the other thing would be it will sound bad. I don't it's not really lack, but now, for me, it's always if you're not getting a role in cybersecurity, just have something that you're studying in cybersecurity because it's usually like a follow-up question. Even you, if you're an interviewer and then someone comes and they've just been taking up IT role and they're like in a cybersecurity, and then you go, so you have experience in IT, what do you have for cybersecurity? And then you have nothing. You wouldn't hire them honestly, as opposed to someone who has even tried or has a try hack me account and has been actively, but employers understand that you don't like there's that you need a job and this was what was there, or I'm not getting a job in this. So the way to do that is show the interest, show that you're actually doing something for your cybersecurity career and interest. You've been picking up courses, you've been turning up to these things, you know you are in some cyber ranges event, maybe even one of the interviewers you had them present somewhere. Stuff like that really resonates with people when you're going to an interview, because now it becomes a question of no one has given you a platform to do this, but you can actually do it and you have the curiosity to do it, which is very important in cybersecurity when guys see that you're willing to learn. Then the other thing would be roles. When you're looking at them, I would still say that. So even in a programming organization, I'm hoping that it's not just purely programming. Try to see how you can how you can move to different departments. If not that, try to look at things that are related to cybersecurity that can be done by like programming. So there's the whole thing of automation. There's the whole thing of the different languages that are coming. What are some of the things that you think? So when you're asked about your current job, you just point out. And according to this, I think I would be better suited for this because now I can identify during the automation of this thing, this would be a problem, and I have a way to bridge it. That way, you're not lying. You're saying whatever you're doing, but you're coining it to help you with whatever you're trying to do. The other thing would be maybe don't be so focused on jobs. So according to what you're saying, I was just wondering what happens when there's an internship position and then there's like a full job for say programming. I would still sometimes when you're starting out, you really have to take like either a pay cut or like you're not even being paid just to get into that space. Honestly, you just need to get into that space. But I would rather you take it as opposed to uende kwa programming because that will always be a challenge. The first step you could get into the industry is always an issue. So I would rather you volunteer, you can even volunteer, you take internships. That way you get to know these people and it will definitely count.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. All the best.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, also, I had forgotten. Oh, sorry. So sometimes I don't know about you people, but this is how I apply for jobs. I do not really just wait for opportunities to be posted online. Sometimes I just post that I am interested to work in a company, and that's how I actually ended up in Syria. So it's you identify companies, you have an idea hizo vitu zenye unapenda in cybersecurity companies that are doing them or that you'd want to work with. Just send your CV and express the interest. You never know. You may find that they're looking for someone, but they have not yet posted, and then you get it. You may find that they may take you as an intern or something. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Angelica. Like I said, Mordecai was our last question for tonight because of time. The session is supposed to run from 7 to 8 p.m. So I know there are two hands up, but just allow me to say is, Angelica, is there a way the mentees can reach you? Maybe it's for a follow-up or even question?
Uh,
Or I can take the questions and forward them. How would you like to go about that?
no, I'm confused. Is it like a number thing or is it an email thing?
An
Oh,
email thing.
oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay. So with Angelica's consent, I can share her email in case there are any pending questions that weren't able to be asked tonight. Also, if you have a follow-up or just want to know more about what she does, or basically anything, and I mean in relation to cybersecurity only. So we've come to the end of our session tonight, and thank you so much, Angelica. I think it goes without saying that you've really, really, really delved into launching your cybersecurity career. I think you even broadened the perspective, even for me, when I'm thinking about launching a cybersecurity career, what it entails, the level of competency. You personally have gone back into how competent I am, what level of competency do I possess, and how intentional am I in this career. So I hope that is the same conversation and even more that Angelica has sparked in each one of us. And thank you so much for your time. Thank you for going above and beyond. Thank you for being very gracious with the questions and answering them even beyond time. Thank you so much for your time. The participants, the mentees, thank you for joining. Thank you for making this such an interactive question. Thank such an interactive session, I mean. And thank you for being here to the very end and putting your time into it. So thank you everyone and have a lovely night.